everybody, and welcome to Ask the Answers podcast with myself, Adele and today we are joined by the lovely Anna, one of our psychics that works on Ask the Answers phone lines. Welcome to the show, Anna.
Thank you so much, Adele. Thank you for having me.
Now, Anna, I'm very excited to find out all about you and the ways that you work as a psychic, because this doesn't just happen overnight for a lot of people. This is something that they're either born with or something they've had experiences, alongside their own sort of professions over the years, but they might have brushed it under the carpet. So, going to the beginning, where did it start for you?
Ever since I was a little girl, I was extremely intuitive and perceptive. And besides, my grandmother was a healer. And she used to live in the village. I'm originally not from this country. I'm from another country from Eastern Europe. Mm-hmm. And she used to heal people. And she was also a singer, but traditional singer at the funerals.
All right.
I know.
So, how did you find yourself getting into that? Where did that come from? Do you want to sing at somebody's funeral? Why not?
I know. No, well, in Eastern Europe, especially in the Catholic tradition in the villages, whenever the person passes away, a singer goes into the family home. They are invited because it's believed that the person shouldn't be left on their own. Mm-hmm. So it's not somebody like a funeral caretaker who takes away the body. It's the family, and everybody sort of worships that person and that person's passing. Yeah. So these are the traditional singers. So my nan, well, actually both of my nans, so on my mom's side and on my dad's side, there were singers at the funeral as well as the healers. So my grandmother used to go, and my grandmother, as it happened due to a personal circumstance, a family circumstance, she was raising me up until the age of 2.5 years old. And I have very, very strong and very vivid memories of literally just going into these homes and seeing the body. It was the norm back then, the dead body. And I used to kind of, trying to connect and question, oh, wow, I wonder how this person passed away. It wasn't anything scary because it was normal. It was just the norm for me.
Yeah, I was about to say that, because in that sort of situation, lots of people will try to hide, their children from it, and it's going to be too scary, it's going to traumatize them. But in fact, in life, if you do, let people see things from an early age, and often, like you said, it just becomes the norm. You don't really think too much about it
because it's a part of life.
Yes.
When we think about a lot of, and I find that with a lot of people, especially religious people, when it comes to life, they go and they pray and so on, but then they believe it is from God, and they pray for better life and for health and well-being for their loved ones, but forgetting that death also is something that is completely natural. Bless you. See, bless you. True. Yeah, it is something completely natural, and again, it's nature. And those who believe in God, it comes from God as well. So it's not something that needs to be brushed off or hidden away. Yeah. And as well as being a singer at this funeral, so she was also a healer. A lot of people used to come to her. So a healer is a therapist. In the modern age, it's a therapist, basically. Yeah. And she used tarot cards, and she did readings. Basically, you could compare it to the way back then it was a faith healer or a healer in the village. But in this modern age, you would call it a psychotherapist, a talking therapist, right? Mm-hmm. So because I could see all of that and heard, to me, it was always the norm. And I used to be able to just step into a room or somewhere else, into any environment, just scan the space. And I knew exactly what was happening and what was going on and the dynamics between people. So I could, for example, step in, I can do it now, step into a party, and there are loads of people, a crowd of people, and there would be a couple sat there, and I would straight away know that they were extremely unhappy and they were getting divorced. Mm-hmm. And I pointed this out on a few occasions. I remember in my ex-husband's family, I said to his sister-in-law by meeting certain couples, saying, she looks extremely unhappy. There's something going on in the background. And people, because they're so insensitive and not perceptive at all, they say, oh, no, you're completely wrong. They would always say to me, Anna, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. 6 months down the line, people are getting divorced and everybody's shocked apart from me. And it was, oftentimes that people would tell me that I was wrong. So I stopped listening to my intuition. So it took me a bit of time then to get back into myself, to reconnect to myself and my intuition. But nonetheless, from a young age, as a young child, I used to go out and I used to question the nature and the universe around me. I used to pick up, say, some herbs and grass and wonder how that could be helpful or help people and heal people, for example, or whether there was a spirit behind the tree, or I used to have the old cards. I used to put the pictures together, although they were not a traditional tarot deck as a child. I think it was old patience or something like that. When I put them out and try and connect the picture, one picture would connect into, say, a swan, and it would have a certain meaning. Another one would connect it into a spider. So it was always, for me, it was always the work with our psyche, with the subconscious mind. But back then, obviously, I didn't know what on earth I was doing.
And I mean, you said obviously, people didn't believe what you were saying when you were picking up things. Did you get annoyed by that? Did you resent that? Did it frustrate you that it's like, hang on a minute, I know what I'm saying. Like, I'm not making this up, and I'm not imaginative. I'm not trying to cause problems. Did that bother you?
It bothered me, and in fact, I carried quite a bit of trauma over the years that was linked up to my mother, particularly because she was the one who would tell me, no, you're wrong, you're completely wrong. And obviously, when it's your mother, when it's your parent, you believe them.
Yeah.
And when I realized that actually I was right all along, and certain lies that I was told was just to protect me, that was my way. I had to go through a lot of therapy and a lot of healing myself because of that. Obviously, I had to, to go through forgiveness and acceptance of my mother and of something that happened. And, when you accept someone, that's just the way it is. You can't change them. You just have to accept them for what they are. And I have to say, over the years, she hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But I have.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that. They think that with forgiveness, you have to forgive and you have to see them as this holy person. No, you don't have to. Forgiveness is all about just acceptance.
Yeah.
And I know I can't change her. I have a good relationship with her. She's the way she is, but she's got the right to be the way she is. And I've got the right to be the way I am.
Yeah.
And and if I'm different to her,
relate to that. I think lots of people can relate to that. They're listening, with family members, because they try to do their best in the way that they maybe were brought up, or the way that things were back then, and that's how they brought the children up. But as it evolves, things change, and we become more aware as children that actually that's not how I see it, and I'm going to stand my ground. But it does take a lot of courage and I don't know, with maturity, or get to a point where you can almost stand up for yourself. Because I know my mum's not here anymore and I love her to bits, but I used to always think, gosh, she's so controlling. I can never do what I want to do. She was always sort of shut me down, and it's just because she was trying to protect me. She wanted to make sure that, I made the right decision. So I totally get that. But it also clipped my wings in the fact that sometimes I didn't get to do the things that I would have loved to have done. And maybe that I could have learned from my own mistakes. But because she didn't, again, you say it, don't you? Sometimes I don't want my children to make the same mistakes that I did, but actually, perhaps they need to.
Yeah, they need to. Yeah.
So people can relate to that. I think trying to stand up for somebody that maybe doesn't see things eye to eye as you do, and that, like you said, that's okay to be different, and that's all right to have different opinions.
But I think it's also that is the journey, especially for me. That was the way to reconnect and connect to my intuition, because once I reconnected and overcome that, there is nothing, no one can sway me off my feet, can deceive me, because as long as it's like an inner core, I mean, if you can overcome something to do with your mother,
have so much power.
Everything else, honestly, nothing else matters.
And did you manage that on your own, or did you have support from other people?
No. A lot of therapy and a lot of healing over the years. And I do say to people, don't try and do it on your own. A lot of people are like, well, can't I just sit there and think, and can't I just work on myself? No, we don't work on ourselves. There are professionals and there are people out there who can help you, and they can work on it with you, but you just don't do that. We all need teachers. We all need teachers. We all need therapists. And yeah, of course not. And I'm still on the journey, you know. And with every knowledge is power, but knowledge is unlimited. And self-awareness is, again, unlimited. You only know yourself at this level, but this level is a tiny bit of your potential. And the potential is, we just don't know, do we?
Yeah, absolutely. So from obviously shutting it down and working on yourself, when did you start getting back into it and start delving into it a little bit more?
When I immigrated to the UK, this is when that was over 20 years ago. That's when I started getting my first professional tarot card decks. And you know, I had a bit of an on and off relationship with them, because on the one hand I'd get this tarot deck, and then on the other hand I'd think, because that was another thing, my mom is very religious, and obviously the church and the religion very much against it, saying this is from, you know, which I don't believe in it. Obviously I know it now, I know the truth, and so I'd work with them, and then I throw them into the bin, and then and move place, and then I'd get another tarot deck, I'd work with that, and so it was kind of like an ongoing journey, until I realized that actually those images, the cards, it doesn't matter. If you're a psychic, if you're a truly psychic person, you don't actually, doesn't matter what you use. You can use cards, you can use leaves, you can use images, you can use clouds, you can use coffee grains. That's why you know that people use different techniques. I mean, I use the quantum matrix game. And actually, if you really want, I keep saying it to people, but people are not always open to this. But really, if you really have a burning answer, yes, you do ask professionals, somebody who can actually shed the light upon the situation, great. But if you're really stuck and you still are not quite getting it, not understanding, don't just sit on your own. Write the answer down, concentrate, and just go out. Go into a public place. Sit in a coffee shop and listen to the conversation. Walk out and look at the signs. And honestly, the answer just comes, because when you make the steps towards the universe, it moves towards you. Oftentimes, I just think, I can't quite, how could I resolve this issue, this question? And I go into a cafe and I'll sit there, get a coffee, and all of a sudden I hear two women chatting. And you know what? And when I stepped into the shop and I saw X, Y, and Z, I'm like, I knew it. Because psyche is energy. It's the mind, but it's the energy. And your aerials, you know, if you work with your psyche will work with you. So your aerials will be linking up. They will be bringing in the right people to you, and the right answers will come. So really, this is when I realized, so it doesn't matter. Again, that's when I found my way, that there's no sin in using those tarot cards, because if I didn't want to call it tarot, I can just draw my own or paint my own deck and call it something else. I call it metaphoric cards, star cards, the angel cards, you know. So this is when I finally got back into it, and yes, I use tarot cards. There's nothing sinful in those tarot cards.
Yeah. And when you started, obviously, trying different cards and tapping back into that psychic energy, were you working another job at that time? You know, were you experiencing, you know, I suppose just your everyday life? You know, were you busy with that, or was it just right? I'm just all in now. It's all psychic. This is what I'm focusing on. This is what I want to do.
No, not all psychic, because psychic work is great, but with psychic work, sometimes you can fly out into a different dimension, you know. And if you are quite psychic, it's very easy to travel the dimensions unknown. So to me, I have other jobs. So I had other jobs. So I held normal jobs. I started out in customer service and retail. I had a successful career in finance. I had a business with my ex-husband, and after I divorced my ex-husband, I retrained as well. I'm a professional therapist as well. In my everyday life, I also am very creative. I love singing, dancing. I write poetry. I write music. I perform. So, no, not particularly just the psychic.
Yeah.
Psychic
Do you
is
sing
great.
at funerals?
Mm?
Do you sing at funerals?
I sing, believe it or not, I sing,
But not at
but
funerals.
I haven't quite gone that far. Simply because I actually, Adele, to be honest, now you're saying, because I know that the universe obviously it speaks through other people, you know. There must be a market for it. You might see me sing. You know?
Carry on the generation.
Yeah, but you see, it's very traditional in my home country. But I know that the English people are a little bit apprehensive when it comes to the funerals. As you say, they don't bring children to the funerals, and they hide that the caretaker holds the body up until, you know, the whole thing falls into place. See, in my home country, it's very quick. It's a very quick turnaround. Somebody passes away like today, they're buried tomorrow, maximum after tomorrow. In this country, we're talking what, couple of weeks, sometimes longer than that, and it's it's a long story, really. Not long story, long journey, I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, how would you describe yourself as a psychic reader? You know, over these years, have you sort of got your own sort of tag, or, you know, sort of the way that you profile yourself? Is there a way that you do that?
How would I describe myself as a psychic reader? I'd probably say I am a true reader. That I'm honest in the way that whatever I pick up on, I pass the message. And my readings sometimes can be a little bit of a rehab, like an eye opener to certain people. So I wouldn't want to just paint just a positive picture if it's not all positive, because it's a learning curve, it's a learning experience. So I'd probably say a healing reader, because a teacher, when you come to see somebody, that's your teacher, and the teacher is there to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Yeah.
And do you enjoy it? Do you you know, you've done it for such a long time, do you still enjoy it like you did when you first started?
Yes, yeah, because it's always different. You don't know what you're going to get. And even when you pull out one card, it doesn't matter how many meanings it has. You can read and you can study the card. But for this particular person, it'll mean something unique, something different. This is for people to also understand that we are not the same. We all are a totally unique blueprint. And that is what I find extremely fascinating. But another thing, as much as I give the messages to people and I help people and they learn something, I also learn. So as a person, as a psychic, as a reader, and as a therapist, I grow through them as much as they grow through me. And that is the beauty of this process. I'd probably say it's a sacred process.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've learned over the years as a reader?
The biggest lesson? The good or the bad, the positive or the negative?
Both.
That expect the unexpected, because, as I've said, sometimes you can connect to somebody and really it's a really nice reading and a really quite positive, strong message and a lot of learning. And other times, you're just not, there is no rapport, or you're not clicking with somebody for various reasons. You know, it's not that you are not a good reader or you can't connect to this person. This person might be closed off, or they might want to hear what they want to hear, and they're not receptive to the message. That it's like there is a filter.
Mm-hmm.
And that filter, that doesn't come from me, you know, that filter is from the universe, as a shut off filter. Maybe that information is not going to be for their benefit, and there's just absolutely nothing coming through for them. But from a bit of reassurance, you know, a bit of a positive chat and a positive talk. So yeah, so kind of, and also I would like to say to people who call, again, they need to call with an open mind and not get frustrated with the reader as well at the time, because we are just a vessel, you know. I'm just a vessel. I am in this radio transmission, the radio waves. I am just the radio, you know, like imagine the old-fashioned radio when you have to tune to a certain frequency.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't happen for whatever reason, you know, maybe the magnetic field is in the way, whatever that is. And yeah, it can be frustrating, of course. But
has there ever been a time where you wish you didn't have the psychic ability?
You can't say that, but it's with certain things it can be difficult, especially with the children. Because as a mother who's in tune, obviously as a true psychic, you not only see your past, sometimes you sense certain things. With other people it's easier, but with your children, with my own children, it is hard, you know, because I have to accept their destiny, and I understand that I've got no right to interfere. So whatever challenges that they have on their journey, on their life path, is their life path, and it's really, really not easy to see them suffer. And it's like you're helpless and you can't do anything. Yeah. And that is the hardest bit, because I went through a lot of challenging situations and health issues with my daughter, and there was the time when you just have to kind of give up and give it to the universe and to the professionals who are out there, and trust in the best outcome. But it's not easy as a parent. Definitely.
And how old are your children?
My son is 17 and my daughter is 9.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, but it's
and do they know what you do?
They know about therapy. They know about tarot cards, and I do work with my daughter especially. We do pull out the cards. I don't tell her very much about the fact that I do sort of spreads and readings for other people. I show her what I do, how I work, but she doesn't know the in-depths
of how you're helping people.
Yes, the details. But she knows that, they are not a secret. They are lying about, and she does ask questions. So
yeah. And do you pick up? I know you know. Again, it's difficult with your own children, but can you sense that they have psychic ability, or they have that healing energy around them?
Yes. Yes, and this is something as well that's not quite easy for a lot of people to they don't have the comprehension that in order to have the healing and the psychic ability, the gift is given to you, but it's not given to you just like that. You've got to give something in return for it. And in order for it to activate the gift, for you to be a healer, to open your heart, there may be a lot of traumatic events happening in your life, such as losing your loved ones, you know, the situations when you are helpless and you can't do, you see a lot of suffering, or you see someone dying in your arms and so on. Well, my son is Pisces. I mean, you can't get more psychic than that. And he looks like Jesus, so call him Messiah, because he's got like longer hair like this. And then normally I joke around saying to people, have you seen the Messiah? And they honestly, and my daughter, she's very perceptive. I try to tell a little, I wouldn't say a little white lie, but you know, certain things. And she just looks into my eyes and she picks up on some stuff straight away. And I understand, but obviously, because I've had that experience with my mother, I know I have to be honest with her, but honest with her on her level, not to
overwhelm them.
Yes, not to overwhelm to the, to the adult perception or the adult awareness of things. Yeah.
And that might be quite interesting to people that are listening, that, feel that their children have psychic ability. Maybe they are, extra sensitive. Maybe they don't quite fit in at school. Maybe they feel that they are experiencing things that they can't talk about. I mean, as a mother yourself, what advice would you give to other parents that might be listening to this and thinking, I'm not too sure if there's something going on. I don't know how to approach that with them.
Well, connect with like-minded mothers and connect with like-minded children. Put them in touch together. And I think, from my perception, that is the best way to go. And in my experience, by when I wasn't accepted in a certain community or was not understood in a certain community, I realized that I just had to create my own. And when I had no support network and no foundations, I had to create my own. And this is what I used to do, and this is what I still do. So, for example, after an acrimonious divorce from my ex-husband and everything, fallen down to the ground, I came to London and I reached out to other moms, and we link up, we connect together, we live close by, so we can take turns and care for each other's children and vice versa. So you just need to, don't suffer in silence, as they say, but also make these appropriate steps to be more resourceful, to help each other and support each other. I don't know if there are communities like that, but if there are no communities like that around you, create your own.
I love that. It's almost like find your own tribe, isn't it? And if opportunities don't come knocking, you create your own opportunities. You make your own door. Whatever it might be. I really what you're saying there. Because so many people do feel quite alone, and they haven't got people to turn to, or they're not accepted in like I said, that one community or wherever it might be. But there are people out there that are going to be very similar to them and going through very similar things, and it's just finding that place.
Yeah.
Or creating your own.
Yeah, and also listen to your children. Listen to what they want to do, what they would like to do. If they tell you, Mommy, I think I've seen X, Y, and Z, don't just say, don't be silly, it's not true, or you haven't, you're imagining things. Try and listen to what they've got to say. Because we were driving, actually, we were on the way to Birmingham to this Mind, Body, and Spirit event through the company. And my daughter said to me, Mommy, I think I've seen something I shouldn't have seen. And I went, what's that? And she said, there was this sun, and then it came closer to me as if it was looking at me, and then it moved away and it's gone into the sky. And she said, Mommy, I'm not lying. I said, that's all right. And what do you think? Was it a friendly sun? So I'm not, dismissing it.
Yeah.
I asked her questions. Was it a friendly sun? What would you call it? If there was a name for this image, could you reframe it somehow? What would you call it? What questions would you ask her? So you work with an imagery in her mind, because even if she were to create something, that's all right again, but we can work with it.
Yeah. Amazing. And not only with your own children, is it something that you've naturally sometimes been drawn to with other people asking questions about their children, or has it been anything that you've done or are interested in working with spiritual children yourself?
Yes, I've taught children. I've done some work with children, but not particularly around the psychic ability. But I've worked with children. So originally, I graduated in my home country as a primary school teacher. So that was my original kind of plan. That didn't go according to a plan. So I worked with children. But then over here in the UK, I also ran some after school club. So I worked with children as well. So anything to do with imagination, it doesn't matter. But to me, the psychic subconscious mind and the psychic abilities all linked up to the imagination. So whatever children express, be it their drawing, be it what they say, their rhyming, or anything, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because when they're so young, they're not tarnished, or they're not as you get older, you end up only see certain things, or you go down a certain direction, or education takes you in a certain way. But when you're quite young, obviously you're still quite open to all of that before it gets shut down. So great time to explore that and trying to keep that that alive for so many of the children.
No, no, absolutely, yeah, yeah. And parents should really be supportive.
Yeah.
And children have imaginary friends. It's amazing because I run a workshop. I ran a mindfulness workshop, and there was I remember in one of them, an elderly lady turned up, and we just did a meditation, a simple meditation. And I mentioned, and I told them a story about the farmer and the white horse. It's just just kind of like an imaginative story, quite a well-known actually. And she was very emotional. And when she opened her eyes, she said, I'm so grateful to you that you mentioned that. And me being me, I didn't know, but that's how it works. We connect, we bring in the messages. Our mouth is basically just the channel to channel the messages. Apparently, when she was a little girl, she's very happy because she had this imaginary horse. It was her friend, and she
Mm.
went everywhere with it, everywhere. She said she used to skip down to the local shop. She used to put it outside while she
Mm.
went and got some sweets and got out. It was her best friend, but she'd
Mm.
completely forgotten up until this moment that she came to the workshop, and we did that that meditation. um, so when we talk about psyche and, as you're saying, working with children, those, and they can be the most tremendous tools, whatever there is, whether it's imaginary, not imaginary, but it's something that gives somebody happiness, gives
Mm.
somebody hope, and it's their resource to carry on with life. Why take it away? That is my question. Why take it away? Why convince them of something? Why give them a scientific formula? Why give them a mathematical formula when it doesn't work for them?
Yeah.
When they just want
Yeah.
an imaginary horse to guide them and to be their accomplice in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whatever uplifts them, empowers them, and I think that's what's nice about having psychic readings. And lots of people don't have that opportunity to have psychic readings, or they might not be aware of the benefits. People that have found the psychic world, or they've experienced things and they've explored, or they've researched and they found like shows like this, or they've gone to the mind, body, and soul events. They've got involved, but there's so many people that do miss out on what can be such an incredible experience if you just stop, if you're not working all the time, you get a chance, even if it's just an hour out of your day, or maybe it might be a weekend, or maybe it might be going to see someone at an event, and just switching off and just focusing on the spiritualness, or the awakening, or whatever people might want to call it. It's so nice, it's so pure, it's so nice, it's so I don't see anything negative, apart from people just learning and growing and understanding themselves.
Exactly. And it's different and it's unexpected. You never know what to expect, and that's the thing that gives you that zest, that excitement. Why not? Exactly, why not? And you might learn something new, you might learn something exciting, and we only learn about ourselves through other people. So you never know what message you might get through other people, that message from the universe that comes for you. So why miss out? Say yes to that.
Yeah, it's so sad when you do see so many people with being very negative. When you are like yourself, and even myself, I'm very open, I'm always willing to learn, to understand, see things from a different perspective. But there's so many people that are very much black and white. No, you're wrong. I'm Mr. or Mrs. Negative. And sometimes you think, God, so draining to be around. And there are people like that, and unfortunately, that I don't know. I can't even explain it. Why they? It must be such hard work to feel like that all the time.
Yeah, but also a very hard work, because they get listened to, they get tolerated. Perhaps if they get listened to less, maybe they won't do it as often. But because we are kind of conditioned to be understanding and be compassionate, compassionate is okay, and I get it. But my question is, how long for? There should be a limit. There should be a time frame and time limit. So it's all about healthy boundaries as well. And you give and take, you give and receive. And if you give and you receive nothing, then perhaps it's not healthy.
Yeah. And I think that is, sometimes when it comes down to a bit of a power struggle, whether it's like your boss or work or relationship, when someone you feel has that power over you, maybe because you don't want to lose your job or you don't want to lose your home. So, you put up with a lot of nonsense that actually, if you had that strength or that courage, or you weren't worried about your security, you would stand up for yourself a lot more. And that's sometimes what's really sad, that so many people stay in relationships longer than they should have or would have. So many people stay in those jobs that they don't enjoy and, get walked all over because it's security for their family. And so many people are still living that today.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is sad, but perhaps also they stay longer in those situations. I'm talking from my perspective, from the way I understand or I feel, when they don't have all the necessary and appropriate support network, when they don't have like-minded people surrounding them. Because as I've said, if you create your own community, but this community should not be mother, grandmother, auntie, and uncle, and a cousin. No. If you have 100,000 people around you who in times of need or anything like that can come and give you a hug and say, hey, we're here, you'll be fine, trust me, those people would not stay in those unfulfilling relationships and the jobs that they don't love, because they could just come up to somebody and say, look, I'm not happy in my job, but I really need a job. Do you know of anything? And trust me, the next day or maybe the same very day, they'll have another job, right?
Yeah.
But this is all about human connection, but only with the right people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. I know that even when I was doing a job that I knew it'd run its course, I wasn't quite happy in the role that I was in. I was sort of just hanging on. And then I just had an afternoon when I was just talking to one of my other colleagues, and she just gave me so much confidence that I was just like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to go for it, because I was in between building up something else that I was working on and this other job. And I didn't want to jump ship until I knew the other one was going to be, a safe net to jump to. And then it was just that friend of mine just gave me that little nudge. And I was like, right, that's it. I'm going to go for it. And it was the best thing that I ever did. And sometimes it can just be that, that little bit of encouragement from somebody else that will help people to make those right decisions for them. And all, coming to a psychic and seeing the bigger picture, and seeing so much more that a psychic can, and seeing where that direction might take them to.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're not only, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I presume other readers also do that. That not only do we see a bigger picture and the potential where you go to, we can also give you advice. As I say, for example, I am a professional, right? And I can give you, I can guide you into seeing all the right resources and finding the right answers. Perhaps not only, yes, the potential is there, but providing you can get there, providing you make appropriate steps. So don't just sit there and meditate and hope for the best. No, you've got to make steps. But with those steps, we can also work out some plan. I can give you some tips, perhaps a plan A, plan B, plan C. And all of a sudden you've got this like a bouquet of different opportunities. And then you don't feel so lost or isolated, because, you can turn left, you can turn right, you can reach out. If you need a bit more information, you can call back and we can explore other options. So you can always say, for example, you can, or even if you have, say, you cannot make your mind up, you have 3 opportunities coming up, you can always look at the energy field in here and now, what's in there, what's in store for those 3 opportunities for you at this time. So you can say, this is my option A at the moment, is this, option B and option C. And for these 3 options, we can pull out the cards and have a look, like where is the best potential, so you can really make that decision. Because sometimes people can't make the decision and it takes up a lot of energy, it eats up a lot of energy. And they get drained and quite like burn out. And that's why sometimes even those desires, like that spark of desire, gets extinguished, it gets buried, really. Like it's easier not to go in there. But then if you've outgrown one area of your life, you have to make the move into another one. And if you don't, a crisis might happen. So we don't want that to happen. So
the rug will be pulled from beneath you. But there are also occasions where it might be hold fire, stay where you're at, because you might not enjoy your job at the moment because your boss, maybe in a week or two, that boss might be leaving to another job, and they think, oh, I'm glad I didn't leave, because now that person's now left, I'm now happy because I enjoy what I do. I just enjoy the person I was working with. So again, that insight and the guidance can be so beneficial to so many people. But for you as a psychic now, Anna, I mean, you've done so much over the years, you've done so many psychic readings. Where do you see this going? Is it more of the same? Is there other avenues that you want to go down? Is there, you know, other, I don't know, countries or exploring? What do you want to, where do you want to take this?
Yeah, I'd like to travel more. I definitely would like to travel more, but I would like to do more group workshops as well, group work. I use cards, regardless. I use cards, but I do have some ideas for some maybe retreats and different work like that. But I'll definitely stay as a reader for the time being. I enjoy it regardless. But yeah, but some creative work is in store as well. Yeah.
you'll let the universe or the spiritual world take you in whatever direction you need to go in.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I am open.
Yeah.
And I always try to be, not I am always, because that would be a lie. I still have got the ego and the mind, but I try to be mindful as much as I possibly can in my work and in everyday life. And I'm very open because sometimes, as I said, I'll make plans or I'll set goals, but maybe those goals are not particularly for me. So I'm very open to suggestions. And sometimes if I hear the message comes through that actually, no, you need to turn left instead of a right, I'm more compliant, put it this way, these days, because I know this is for my higher good.
Yeah, of course. And for people that are listening, this sort of time of year, is it quite a good time to have a reading when it closes at the end of the year and we're going into the new year? Do people use this time of year as a bit of a goalpost in the fact that I don't want to be in that same job next year, I don't want to be in that same relationship this year? Sometimes people use it as a bit of a, I'm not going to go into the new year with the same old rubbish. Is it quite a good time to have a reading, would you say?
Yes, it is a good time to have a reading, definitely, because we've just stepped into this new moon in Scorpio. And the new moon is in Scorpio obviously brings up a lot from the depths of our psyche and the shadow self. There are quite kind of a lot of issues. There might be a lot of emotional states coming up. And this is the time, if you wanted to process before going into the new year, if you wanted to process anything that doesn't serve you, now is the best time. But perhaps as well, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed or emotional, but not particularly know why, what it's related to. That can also be looked at. You know, it might be coming, your body might be crying for something, but you can't quite put it into words, like what is crying for. I mean, yesterday, I had a very similar encounter. I was on the way back, I was driving back, and I became tearful. And I knew that it wasn't a conscious reaction because I wasn't thinking about anything particular, but I knew that this moon was happening. So I kind of I had the breather and everything. So if there's anything that you want to let go of now, the Scorpio goes into the depths of your psyche. Now is the best time.
Okay, well, if you want to know more about that, listeners, you'll be able to get hold of Anna on Ask the Answers phone line. Now, Anna, do you know your PIN number off by heart so that if people want to come through and have a reading with you, or would you like me to have a little look?
Please, if you don't mind.
Okay, your PIN number is 700673. So that's 700673. That's for the lovely Anna. If you've enjoyed the podcast today and things that maybe could be very relatable to you at the moment, or if you're just intrigued, curious, or if you just fancy a reading with Anna, she'd be on the phone lines. Is there certain days or hours that you work, or you just jump on and off as you feel when you're needed?
Unfortunately, at the moment, it's just on and off. Yeah, especially before Christmas is a very busy time for me.
Yeah.
So I'll do my best to try and schedule the hours, but I can't promise, unfortunately.
Well, we appreciate any hours that you can spend with us. Well, thank you very much, Anna. It's been lovely speaking to you today. Keep up the good work, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you for having me, Adele.
Lovely. Take care, Anna. Bye.
Bye.